Some people.
Man.
Yeah, come.
That's right.
You asked and we delivered. Jollof on the pod, finally.
To be fair, it's not a bad idea. I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah, I hear it, yeah. You're going to have to bear with us, different setting. Acoustics might be a bit off, and we've got Amanda Megan on the pod as well.
Yeah,
so.
It's O's anyway. Production didn't want to produce, so...
But yeah, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is episode 33 of the Jollof After Jummah podcast with myself, Ibs.
Assalamu alaikum people, what's up, Dominic?
Assalamu alaikum. And now locked into Jollof After Jummah, myself, Abdullah.
Man's doing retro transition. Nah, let me back myself in it, because...
Yeah, so, like I said, today's just a different setting, obviously. The mandem are growing up. We've got new things happening all the time. I'm not going to say too much, but yeah.
Obviously, announcements out soon and that.
But yeah, different man are getting X'd every other day of the week.
Every other day, fam. So, dropping like flies out here, man.
So yeah, alhamdulillah. We're in a different setting today, but we should be back to our usual setting. I can't say exactly when, but soon, inshallah.
We're doing World Talk. We might even end up in your garden for recording.
Trust me.
At this rate.
Trust me.
Obviously, any gardens go and let us know, because obviously we need the space.
But we won't disclose today's location, innit?
Yeah. The mystery location.
Alhamdulillah, yeah. What do you want to say?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Also, you've had some decent news with the whole Palestinian thing, so alhamdulillah, it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, what else? Life. Alhamdulillah, it's good, man. It's all good. Had some dodgy news this week, which I'll get into in a little bit, but not bad, by the way. It's not bad.
Okay.
But yeah, alhamdulillah, man, all good.
Yeah.
What you saying, Dula? Just, the man's had the jollof and he's
ready to sleep.
He's ready to sleep, man. He's ready to sleep, man.
Nah, because I was livid earlier, man. I got bumped. Listen, if you're going karting, don't go on Team Sport. They're trash. Absolute whack.
I missed the race today. What happened? Team Sport.
I got bumped.
Did you win?
I was leading for 90%.
Of course you didn't win. Everyone will be happy.
No, I came fifth.
Wow,
So-
what? I saw you were like unbeaten or something.
So basically, I was leading a race. There was like a gap behind me. And Team Sport, they're rubbish. There's a company called Team Sport, absolute trash. They basically don't know what they're doing. And they put the flag. You know the last time we went karting?
Yeah.
What's the last time we went karting where they kept yellow flag,
Yeah,
yellow flag?
yeah,
That was
yeah.
them, isn't it? Same thing this time.
What's
So
yellow flag like?
every time I left the gap,
What does
it'll
yellow
get
flag
closed again.
Oh, so yellow,
yellow flag.
basically,
Red flag.
yellow flag means
Is that
something's
like
happened.
safety, or they have to clear
Yeah, something's
So
happened
yellow
on the
flag,
track, so
it
everyone
means
needs to
slow
slow
down.
down.
Doesn't stop. Don't stop. Slow down.
But some of the man them don't slow down, innit?
Some of them man them not slow down.
Yeah.
And it tightens the pack.
Nothing happened to them, man. Their man just kept catching up to me.
Yeah.
I'll make a gap. They'll get certain mans. I'll leave a gap. I'm in first, and then they'll catch up. Cool. Red flag. There was one red flag because one guy. There was two red flags. Bear in mind, this is how crap they are. The first time there was a red flag, first of all, we came on time, and then they were like, sorry, there's an issue. We have to run 15 minutes late. That's why I came late today. It was more than 15 minutes. Didn't give us. They said what? Extra time, extra track time. The race was meant to be 20 minutes. They made it 15. So not only did they not compensate us, but they made the race shorter. Cool. Then they were just doing stupid stuff in the race. Yellow flag, red flag. There was one red flag because because one of their staff was on a track taking 2 crates of petrol.
What's that got to do with you?
So they red flag and then so this is how mad it is. What they said is that they black flagged me because I made me come into black flag. They make you come into the pits. If you get a black flag again, then they disqualify you. So they made me come into the pits because they said I didn't stop on the second red. Wallahi, every single time they put a yellow flag, right, the man didn't know me. I follow the rules.
Yeah.
I race clean. They brought me into.
Who doesn't race clean?
No, but the thing is that.
Oh, should we go on there?
I want names, man. I want names.
Oh.
Shout out to a man like Quizmaster. Kulex.
he's the worst.
No. To be honest, I was talking to Ahmed about this stuff.
If he's behind you, you know he's behind you.
Yeah, but
You know it's him.
but you know what it is about Q? If he knows you're a dirty racer, he
Yeah.
will take you out.
Yeah.
He will take you out. There's no. But if you're clean, like for example, me and other guys, and he knows you're clean and you're racing with him, he'll be cautious.
I don't know about that, man. It's only you man at the front. It's only you man at the front, man.
But he's quick. He's quick. But he's.
So he's saying Ibs, what? You're never.
I'm not even gonna lie. No, I'm not the best racer. I'm not the best. I'm not even gonna front. I'm not the best racer.
So what
No,
they do
I'm not.
is the person who comes last, they give them obviously you have a podium and you get a reward.
Yeah.
The person who comes for the podium first, second, and third. For the people who came last, you get a tin of tomatoes.
Yeah.
That's
So
it,
it's
that's
called
it,
a.
that's
It's
Well,
called a.
Blood
Sorry,
It's called a
yeah.
Pele Award.
I've
Pele?
never lawfully collected that award. I've never lawfully, so I've never come last and never lawfully collected the award. What happened? The one and only time. Listen, the one and only time I collected that award. The one and only time. There were 2 races on that day. There were 2 sprints, and one of the brothers came last.
I need
on
names.
Both.
We need names.
Obviously, it's the pod in it. One of the brothers came.
It's not someone.
Yeah. One of the brothers came last on both of the races, and I.
Can I have initials?
And I IY. So he came last. He came last on both of the races, but I came. I think I came. I think it was 12. I came 11th. So because they didn't want to give it to him twice, they gave it to me.
There, yeah.
So I've never lawfully collected that award. I've never come in last. So, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, long story short, basically there was a red. There was 2 reds and a yellow. And then imagine. So I'm in first. I've overlapped someone. I've overlapped someone and I'm coming to overlap someone else. I have no reason to race them. I'm purely behind them. The person who's second is behind the person I've lapped last. So what reason do I have to try and speed up and overtake this person? It's gone yellow, I've stopped. It's gone red. I don't know if there's an issue with their signal or something, but wallahi, every single time I saw a yellow or yellow flag, I slowed down. Every time I saw a red flag, I stopped. And it's to the point where their lights are not in sequence, so they're not in position in it. So you might go past the yellow flag, and then it might turn red, but you won't see it until like further down. There's no like at the next corner. It's probably like 2 corners away.
Yeah.
So they've black flagged the person in front of me. What I'm guessing they've done is they black flagged him and thought I'm racing him. Why would I be racing? So they black flagged me as well, as us 2 are racing, I'm guessing.
But you're not racing.
Why would I be
you've
racing
lapped.
him?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. So I've gone from first with about I did another 2 laps. So probably at like 30 minutes.
Is this a race or time race or like?
No, it's a race.
This one's like first master flag.
Grand Prix, yeah.
So-
It's
Grand Prix,
it's
yeah.
not a sprint.
I think I've gone back to about 8th or something because when I came back on, I overtook about another 2-3 people and then I got 5th.
That's your first loss this season, isn't it?
No, it's my second. The first one was when the same track
Same seems
where man them were crashing and stuff.
Yeah.
And yellow. See team sport. Whenever these men are racing at team sport, I don't mind forfeiting my points. You man race there. I'm not on it.
So after, if it's not Dullah that's winning, it's probably Q.
I got.
There's another brother.
There's
another
another
brother.
brother. There's another brother
Yeah.
called Muhammad.
He's
actually
he's
sick.
good. But it's weird because with Q, it's natural talent.
It
No,
is,
these
it
man
is.
do karting, innit? Him and Mohammed do karting, but with Q, it's
No,
just
I
this
don't
weird
do karting.
natural talent. Huh?
I don't do karting.
Oh, you've done karting before, innit? You have
Yeah, but
experience.
I've probably done the same amount as karting as Q. It's only that when I was younger,
Yeah.
I did karting professionally for
Right.
half the season.
Bro, what are you talking about?
So I haven't got it, but
I was a pro.
I was a professional.
What are you talking about, bro?
No,
You have experience.
no, I don't.
So how's that?
Because you said you don't have
how's that not
experience.
experience?
Yeah.
Because I've done like 3 races professionally.
It's pro though, and for you to
But I was
get
a
to
kid.
a professional level, you would have had to do a lot of karting, right?
No, figure this.
So did you just turn up one day and
Like,
as a
fam,
professional?
just
If you deep it,
Today I'm
most of the
professional.
man them have gone karting more than me. They've had more karting races than me.
None
I've
of
only
them
done.
were pros.
Huh?
None of them were pros.
I'm not a pro.
You were a professional.
I wasn't.
But you've raced professionally.
I did
You
3
said-
sponsored races and then ran out of sponsorship.
This guy. So you raced professionally, regardless of your
3
age.
times.
Regardless of your age, you raced professionally.
3
Right,
times.
so you're better than everyone. Then you're better than the average Joe. Yes, that's the answer.
Nah, man, I don't think that's right, man.
I'm an average Joe, and you're way better than me. So
nah, man, it's still.
Someone will say it's because you're whack.
that's a fair assumption to make, I guess. Yeah.
So
if I was a question,
Nuru goes,
Yeah. He's good. No, he's good, and he's improved bears. Yeah.
See,
No,
I'm
he's
impressed
good,
by
he's
Alamin.
you know what you call him?
I'm impressed by Alamin.
Why?
He's the only one that like put in bits when it was raining, and he's had the biggest improvement.
He had a proper good race during the
when
rain.
it was-
Because that rain was that race was mental.
torrential.
Was it?
was
mental.
mental.
That was outdoor
About
track.
anything.
Yeah, outdoor track rain.
nice.
Was mad.
Outdoor.
It was
See,
a- it
outdoor
was a
tracks.
big-
No, that's what I'm
it was
saying.
a massive adjustment
This
as well.
kiddie indoor stuff where they're throwing up yellow flags every 2 seconds. I'm not on it anymore. Then I forfeit my points, bro. When it's outdoor, then I get them points back. I'm not on it, bro.
Yeah,
I
outdoor.
guess it'll be done to come one day, but it's long.
But sorry, we did a whole segment on karting.
What's the issue?
To kind of give a little bit. To kind of give a little bit of context, we have a couple of the brothers who do like a karting league. We started.
Listen, if you're listening, the listeners, jump on. Come
Yeah, come on, we have a karting league. So I think
I think there's an Instagram.
yeah, but we haven't been doing that.
What, Mandemoli or?
I'm saying me.
No, not Mandem. Oh yeah, brothers.
I was like,
If there's sisters interested and there's numbers, obviously we're trying to sort out something.
But if you are interested, I guess, in joining a karting league, then I think we do races.
So
every
far,
month.
there's about
You're
20 of
not
us.
in the car together though. So
What? Not in a what?
I said
So they're not in the car
you're
together.
not in the car together.
What do you mean not in a car?
Sisters.
If we were to have sisters in the league with us, he's saying you're not in the car with a sister, so is there an issue? That's his question, by the way.
I'm just
be
putting
honest,
you on the spot.
To be honest,
You
there
can plead
isn't.
the
But
fifth.
then again, like we're all in a group chat and
Yes,
sisters
there's
there.
an open door for there's an open door.
I knew that was gonna be awkward when I asked it. Yeah, man, no, it's sick. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
one day I'll turn up, and my mission will just be to make sure that I beat Ibs.
That's not. I mean,
Rah.
I'm not that.
Muslims are meant to have high
I'm not
aspirations in life.
Come on, man. I'm not that.
No, but you can't be like if I'm going there.
I'm not that bad.
If I'm going there, like man's
Put it this way,
man's using man's green shelling man to try and get.
I'm not that bad.
Put it this way, there's like it was
Cool.
Listen,
Alhamdulillah, I'm good, man. So obviously update, alhamdulillah, with regards to the Israeli aggression, that's what I'm putting it, not that conflict. Ceasefire has been agreed, alhamdulillah, and
let's see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
But hopefully the plan is maybe that will give us, just like history is told, just like the events of history, hopefully that will give the Muslims enough time to prepare for when they break. Hopefully, as history as events have shown in history, that will give the Muslims time to prepare for when the treaty is broken. So that
at the end of the day,
when it's broken, we've got our act together.
at the end of the day, there's a lot of sounds like really for one. But at the end of the day, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of I've seen a lot of people saying,
wanna
like
war
it's
me?
not a
on,
real
mate.
victory, innit? It's not a victory. Like it's not a victory. Like we shouldn't celebrate. We shouldn't rest on our laurels.
Because at the end of the day, you've got the short end of the deal.
Yes, but at the end of the day,
In a certain
the
way.
main
But
thing is
again, as you said,
it's lives, innit? At the end of the day, anything that's reducing the amount of lives that are
always-
lost, particularly the amount of Muslim lives that are lost on a day-to-day basis, yeah.
Muslim,
Has to be
non-Muslim, at
celebrated.
the end of the day, whether they're on the other side, there's still children and women, innocent women and children, Israeli women and children that were hurt, that were killed. So
Yeah, so anything that preserves life is something that should be celebrated, and anyone that's like outside looking in saying, "Oh no, it's not a victory because of this and this," it's like at the end of the day, mate, you're not there. When they said ceasefire, the Palestinians were celebrating, so that's what I'm gonna look at to gauge the credibility of whether it's a victory or not.
I'll dispute that part. I agree with what you're saying, but in regards to the Palestinians celebrating, you don't know. All you're saying is what on Twitter and is what the news outlets choose to show you the images. So you don't know that they were celebrating particularly.
People on the, as in, footage of Palestinian people.
Yeah, but that's the footage again. Like what I'm saying is that's the footage.
No, but you know nowadays with the internet, it's not all the footage you see is shot on a big corporation's camera. A lot of it is people that you. I guess with Instagram and Twitter, the differences between now and maybe 10 years ago is you're literally seeing a lot of time like live feed.
I get that, but what if there's
From the
other
perspective of the
footage
people.
that you're not seeing? You already saw how they targeted media. They specifically
No, but I'm
shut
talking about
down.
like, let's say Abu Bakr in Palestine, who's a
I know,
18-year-old.
I know.
On
But
his
you're
Instagram.
Yeah, but you're forgetting that use Instagram control that.
Yeah, but as in, okay, yeah, it's the control, but as in,
No, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
I do get
I get what you're saying.
It's like it's sometimes it's not all of it that can be censored. Sometimes it is live what you see, and a lot of the time, what you do find is that when these kind of big events are going on, social media is more time where you're going to see the actual truth, of the situation, because it's being shown live. There's no filter. There's no kind of there's no editing, none of that. Like there is on the news, you'll see what's happening live on the ground on social media. There's people recording and they're just uploading. So more time, that's where you'll see most of the truth. And sometimes it can be censored. Sometimes posts can be taken down, but then there's nothing that stops that same person from re-uploading it. Once something is on the internet, it's on the internet forever. It's out there. It's out there. There's no taking it back, because someone will screenshot it, someone will screen grab it. It's there. Once it's on the internet, it's out there. So, yeah.
No, I'm not disputing that. Move on.
And another, on just even moving forward, am I sounding good by the way?
Yeah.
Wait, close the window.
No, it's fine. No, it's alright.
For those who are saying, it is like a step backwards and stuff like that, because it's, if it's not, the Muslims being completely liberated and having their land back, all that stuff, then it's a negative and we shouldn't celebrate until that happens, all that type of stuff. At the end of the day, like, the best example we have to follow is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if you look at like the Sirah, there's examples. One example in particular I can think of where what comes across as a defeat, or what may look as what may seem to be like a surrender in power or surrender in momentum or losing momentum, can often be for the greater good. The example I'm thinking of, there's a couple. Some people say like Battle of Uhud, for example, but the main example I can think of is after like the Muslims had settled in Medina and they were trying to come back.
Yeah.
They were trying to do Hajj.
And it was a treaty. And
yeah.
That's what I was talking about. That's when I said history, the events of the past. That's what I was talking about.
Trying to say,
in regards to there was a treaty, it was broken, and then after that, they basically, like I said, they used the time wisely to prepare for when the treaty was broken. And then when the treaty was broken, they were armed with defences and 1,000. Is it 1,000 or thousands? At least 1,000. An army of at least 1,000 to battle the oppressors.
Correct. Yeah. So like, just to add more meat, like when the Muslims were in, like, obviously they left Mecca and they'd gone back to, and they'd made hijrah to Medina. They wanted to do Hajj, and when trying to go back to Mecca, obviously they were met with a lot of resistance and it was dangerous, and they were essentially prevented from being able to do Hajj by the Arabs, like the Quraysh tribe that stayed, or the non-Muslims that stayed in Mecca, the ones that drove out the Muslims, essentially. I'm explaining this really badly. And when they signed the deal, and essentially the deal basically said, okay, so we're going to let you do Hajj, not this year, but you can come back next year. So you're not allowed to do Hajj this year, so turn around and go home. So remember, they came to do Hajj. And if any Arab or like someone from Mecca escapes and goes to join you in Medina, you have to send them back. So you're not allowed to take any like refugees kind of. But if any of your people come here, we don't have to give them back to you. So basically, we're allowed to capture people and you're not allowed to capture people, and you have to send them back to us. And you're allowed to come back next year. But if you're doing Hajj, you can only stay for, I can't remember, I think 2 or 3 days or something like that. So it's very, very, do you know what I mean? It's very like they got them in the ropes. And obviously to the Sahaba, to the followers of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they're like, how can we sign this deal? Like, this is, they're buoying us. And it was unpopular at the time. A lot of people like against it. But he signed it nonetheless, even though, it didn't look good. I can't remember who from the Quraysh was the one in charge at the time. And in that period, that caused obviously a bit of like a ceasefire, and it meant they could do Hajj, even though it was limited, even though it was kind of like they were kind of being oppressed. But in that time, what did? They got stronger and stronger. They fortified themselves in Medina. And then when the Croatia eventually broke the treaty and started becoming violent, like was expected, it was on tops for them, and they ended up coming and reclaiming Mecca at the end of that treaty. So, like, don't think that every step backwards means that you're never gonna come forward.
There's always a wisdom to things.
There's always a wisdom to things, and like it's good to lean on those type of examples. And those type of examples are there.
It's good to have it to work with as well. That's the most important thing.
So like we have these, what's it called? We have these examples and these kind of historic lessons because Allah made it that way. So Allah gave us these stories, like stories of Prophet, all these types of things, so that we can look back on them. Exactly. That's meant to be our reference. Yeah. Not William II's conquest of Scotland. That's not like, as in we've been given clear examples of how tactics and all that type of stuff.
So that even if having, like you said, having to upload something, even if it isn't enough for some people, you have a literal real life example to look at in comparison. So yeah.
And those are the people that the people near Jerusalem are the ones in the hadith and the exact hadith. So I'm not going to try and quote it, but essentially those are the people that Allah's promised that victory is always when it comes to any struggle, the victory is always going to be there. So let's everything will be alright, innit? Don't worry, as Molly said. Anyway, cool. That's was that the Gaza section, the Gaza segment. Done and dusted. Yeah. Well, once again, I'll make it easy for those people. Yeah, man. What else has been going on in life?
What was the crypto thing we were discussing before we switched on?
Oh yeah, crypto. Do you have?
I'm
involved.
Tiny bit. I'm not trading at all at the moment. I don't want to. I'm not the crypto expert here. Yeah. By far, I'm not the crypto expert here. But I'm not
involved.
Yeah, I think.
Not a clue.
Like I was saying before, I think it's just a trend at the moment. It's been bait.
It's a boom.
Now it's bait. I do believe that crypto is the future, and that at some point we might even get to a point where possibly our salaries are being paid in crypto.
No, I don't think so.
I think it's possible.
I knew about cryptocurrency before it even hit mainstream because I'm into my computers and stuff. And building computers. Basically, cryptocurrency started off by people mining bitcoins. I don't know if it started actually, but this is when I first heard of it. It might have been when it started. I don't know. But basically, people are building supercomputers. Like supercomputers, servers, supercomputers, powerful computers, just for the purpose of mining Bitcoin.
That term I need to, because I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm in the middle of like a podcast, basically going through the haramities and halalities of crypto there, and that term is something I don't really get. Mining. It's one of those things.
So it's basically the
processing power of your computer.
Work. No. Basically, to simplify it, your computer does work. It does calculations. It does work. That work is then a proof, or, by the way, correct us if we're wrong, a proof of or a work.
Because the way you defined it is that a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency is energy. It's like energy. And it's proof of energy or something like that.
That's the way you define it. It's something to do with proof, but I don't know about energy.
It's a proof. He said because the energy, that electron, like the computers do something. This mining. Yeah. Hella ignorant. The computers do this mining, and they essentially mine a unit of currency, e.g. Bitcoin. But I don't get. That's the bit I don't. Obviously, I'm not. In tech, it's not enough. But yeah, that's the bit. But anyway,
basically, computers do work, and the product of that work is a Bitcoin. Just for
that's so like the higher the processing power of your computer, the more work you can do in a day, basically.
Okay. Because I think there's that myth. Or I guess it is a myth that somebody just makes this from nothing. Like, so it's something from nothing.
I don't know the ins and outs.
Just think of it as the product of work, basically.
Yeah, exactly. But that's
powerful graphics processing unit, powerful central processing unit.
So it's not nothing. Essentially.
It's not nothing.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people say, oh, it's just nothing. It's just a number. But it's not.
Nothing.
It's exactly.
Yeah,
It's
I think
nothing can make one with your hands then.
I think the most important thing to look at here is like what you were saying, how haram it is and how halal it is, and before you decide to get into this, I guess, line of work, do your research, because as far as I know from what I've heard, it's if you know what you're doing, so like if you know how to read the stock market, then it's fine. But if you have no idea how to read the stock market and you're just finding a coin that you've heard is doing well and then putting money down on it and hoping it's going to rise, you're gambling because you don't know.
And then, like there's big boy institutions like institutions of fiqh and people that bodies that issue like fatwa and this type of stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are saying it's haram in it. So as Jollof after Jummah, I cannot say.
Yeah,
I cannot speak
don't quote me on that. I will say, do your research. Just do your research.
I do not know about cryptocurrency.
So yeah,
I do not know about stocks. I do not know about the validity or the.
There's a difference of opinion. It seems to be a valid kind of difference of opinion on either side, but then at the same time,
my advice
there's a lot of
there's okay. So if you go,
was you gonna say my advice is stay away?
No, my advice is don't listen to what Jollof after Jummah say.
We're not actually saying. We're not saying.
My advice is to go. For example, there's what's the Tucker. Muawiya Tucker. Muawiya Tucker. He happens to have a daughter with the same name as my daughter. Earlier. But yeah,
cute kid, mashallah. Until Ibs made her cry.
Go
anyway.
Huh?
I said cute kid until Ibs made her cry, but anyway, we'll move on from that. Them tough African hands.
You can go have a look at his videos, inshallah. If you go on Instagram on Medina College, you will see it was there Abdul ahead posting some of his stuff because they're quite close. And you'll easily be able to see. I think he's got a YouTube channel. If you want to know about cryptocurrency, that's what I suggest to look at.
From my point of view, I think, like you said, I do think that is the future. For the reason being that there's a stat I heard from what's that they talk about that like only 1 billion out of the 7 billion people in the world, for example, have a bank account. Which is a madness.
I remember
or have access to financial services.
This is what I was talking about. That's I remember what I was going to say. This is what I was talking about. Why I started. I started hearing about cryptocurrency before it became a big thing. When I was looking into it, and the time I was thinking about setting up a machine to kind of mine Bitcoin, it was becoming a big thing where you could. Like people were buying Lambos and Teslas with Bitcoin. People were buying serious big stuff with Bitcoin. And it was being pushed. This is probably 2014, 15. This was being pushed as in, this is the future. People are not going to have bank accounts. There's not going to be any, like currency is going to be dead. Bitcoin's going to be the main currency. This was 2015. This is 6-7 years ago. It's now 2021. The same outlets, the same Tesla and all of this stuff, even Elon Musk and that were pushing this stuff and saying it's going to be the future. The same people now saying like we can't continue. They're not accepting payment via Bitcoin for their products because it's extremely.
That's why Bitcoin dipped like last week or 2 weeks ago.
It's extremely. No. The reason why it dipped the other week I heard is because of China's crackdown on Bitcoin because of the environment and how servers take so much energy expenditure.
I think the actual mining of it.
I could be wrong.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that's the reason for the dip, but the actual mining process takes a lot of energy.
It takes a lot of energy.
So
if you think about servers, if you think about school, when you went to a server room, how big was it and how hot was it?
Yeah.
These computers, they take up so much energy, they produce so much heat, they produce so much, like it's mad. And then you think about how much servers and stuff you would need to mine Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, to mine a Bitcoin, we're not talking about Let me not go into it because I don't even know what I'm talking about. Like I said, I don't want to.
It does take a long time though. You're not mining one Bitcoin in a day. It takes a very long time, and even in that time, it's like you like 0.1.
Yeah.
So like
it's called a fraction of a Bitcoin. It's called a. I think it's called a. Is it
I have no idea.
I forgot what it's called. There's a name for it anyway.
Let me drop back what I said. Yeah. So like obviously, I said about 1 billion people in the world having financial services or a bank account, access to an account.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to say from those 1 billion people. For the 1 billion, it's easy to say, oh, forget this. Like we can just continue what we're doing. The system works currently fine. But for the other 7 billion, if there's like a viable alternative to not having a bank account, something that gives them ownership, you can understand why those other 6 billion or whatever are really gonna push this, because it's almost like it's a way. It's like freedom for them, innit? And also for that, you can also understand why the narrative that it's not. For example, if you was a bank, if you was HSBC, you can very much understand why. And if you're like a tax office, that type, or like a government, like say America or England, you can understand why you wouldn't want to let this thing become the main way of trading, because like your ability to tax on so many different things, your ability to take,
especially when you can't print it, you can't cause inflation, you can't cause.
It's even like, for example, the fact that now
the more you print, the higher inflation.
If I want to send money to Ibs, for example, if Ibs is in Nigeria and I want to send him money, that money that we're gonna have to pay for service, the service money that we're gonna have to pay, the transfer fee or whatever, the exchange rate, all that type of stuff. If you eliminate all of that, there's a lot of powerful people are gonna lose out on a lot of money. So I can understand why people are going to be heavily invested in keeping the system the same. So that's why a lot of the information that you're going to hear, the negatives, like I think a lot of the time it's going to be, you have to think, why are these narratives out there that are so negative? Is it because the fear of change, or is it because
no, I don't think it's the fear of change.
I'm not saying it is. I'm saying,
what do you think it is? Because I think it's the fear of change.
I think
because as soon as you start taking money out of people's pockets, that's when they get angry.
There's that.
I'm giving power to the people. Yeah, you give power to the people.
Yeah. Listen, if that was the case,
I'm sorry to cut off again, but even just a much smaller example of, let's look at. I know you don't follow football, but the whole Super League thing.
I heard about that.
That was just about money, and as soon as you start taking money out of people's pockets, man get vexed and they want to jump up. If you saw people's reaction,
Boris Johnson,
even Boris Johnson talking about it. But when there's issues that actually affecting the people,
that's
you don't want to talk.
That's not as big as a thing as currency. Currency is
like I said, it's a smaller scale example, just about money in general.
Currency, something as big as currency, no matter how much you don't want it to change or you don't want it to do something, that's too big to control. Just like Bitcoin, Bitcoin is not something you can touch. It's not something you can really control. Yeah. That's why I say it's.
I think some people disagree with that though.
What?
That you can't control.
Just because it's not physical.
And touch isn't the only way to.
Sorry,
control.
what am I talking about? You can control. Well, you can have it. No, you can't control it. But you can have a. No, you can't regulate it. That's one of the big.
So Bitcoin is unregulated. You can't regulate. It's unregulated. The whole cryptocurrency market is unregulated.
However, you can't control, but you can. What do you call it? You can have an impression on. Not an impression. Because I was listening to something where Elon Musk said something. That had a huge effect on.
Yes,
Bitcoin.
Because he said he
was. What's Dogecoin and all this?
There's different cryptocurrencies.
Do you know what makes? This is based on what I've read and listened to. But the thing that makes the price change is the willingness. So the price goes up when it becomes more viable for it to be used to purchase something.
Say that again.
So the price of it raises. So if, for example, if suddenly Sainsbury's, Tesco, Asda said we will now accept Bitcoin, that will make the price of Bitcoin go up because you're able to use it for more things. Yeah. And if they don't, if they say no, we're going to stop, then it drops.
Yeah. So Elon Musk initially he first said that we're now accepting Bitcoin payments for Tesla, price jumped, and he said we're not accepting.
Which makes sense. Yeah. I don't think there's a
what annoys me a little bit about that is that it's like it's almost like it's child's play.
People can play with it. Yeah.
It's almost like child's play. Like man are buying and selling money or Bitcoin based off what another man is tweeting.
But at the same,
I think that's just sin.
But at the same time, man are buying trainers based on what another man is trainers is wearing. It's the same
trainers
thing.
and currency.
No, but Air Force Ones. If Air Force Ones became the trainer, then Nike will be more able to charge more for an Air Force One. It will cost more because it's worth more.
Yeah, but okay,
you can do more with it.
Okay, but
that's with it. And that's in the sense that that's a company trying to make money in it. Yeah. There's someone at the top that's controlling it. Yeah. This is unregulated, so this is every man. So that's like the three of us. That's like one of the other man them saying, "I don't want that currency anymore." The three of us are now going to sell all of ours. Like, that's just silly. If I have 1,000,
and that's of no benefit to my man.
If I have 1,000 Nintendo Wii's,
yeah,
cool. Nintendo, that's worth something, yeah.
Okay.
And I can if I could go to you and say, okay, I'll give you a Nintendo Wii for. Let's say we're talking about when Nintendo Wii was the thing. I'll give you a Nintendo Wii for your Beats headphones, and they were the thing as well. Cool.
Okay.
Because it's a thing, it's a viable thing. Mm-hmm. It's worth it. Whereas when the Wii U came out, the new Nintendo Wii, it might have taken 5 Nintendo Wiis to get the same headphones from you because it's not worth as much. So I don't think that's. I know it sounds Elon Musk could just say you can do something,
okay,
but it's life.
But what I'm saying is that okay, in that small analogy that you've given, one person is benefiting. Or both of you are benefiting. Do you understand? So if you make the trade, you both benefit because you both get what you want. If you don't make the trade, I guess you keep your Nintendo Wii's and you keep all of whatever that's worth. If a next man over there says that he doesn't want to accept your form of payment, and we now all go and sell our currency, who is benefiting?
Who is benefiting?
No one benefits from that. So it's like that's what I'm saying. Like, it's child's play. It's that a next man is tweeting and you're now selling your currency based off what a next man says. How does that make sense? No one benefits from that.
Okay.
Yeah, no one benefits from that. That's I don't like that. I feel like that's child's play, and this is why this whole this cryptocurrency being a trend now. I don't like. No, let me not say I don't like trends, but something always irks me when trends are followed so heavily.
I don't like.
So when this whole dip thing happened, and I'm seeing a random man on the net saying, "What should I buy during this dip?" I'm like, "What are you even talking about? You don't even know the first thing about cryptocurrency, and now because everyone else is doing it, you're now going to go and buy something during the dip." Come on,
you know what that is? Because naturally, as humans, we are speculating.
Yes, and what do you mean? Say that again.
We love to speculate.
Yeah.
Like I see this. I see this even in the car world. When a new car comes out and it's a limited edition, Porsche 911 GT3, the latest LT, whatever, I'll start because car stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say free. One more you're out.
There's a bunch of people that would do the maddest stuff to make sure they get that car. They're the first owner, so that they can then flip it.
Yeah. Same with Yeezys and
trainers. Okay. Like,
see,
that's speculative.
No, that is speculative.
Are you being a bit of a grumpy old man? And what I mean by that is because yes, people follow trends. Yeah, that's a thing in life.
Okay,
but at the end of the day, like for example, imagine because
it doesn't even have to be new cars; it can be classic cars.
Imagine not wanting to follow a trend.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, you can actually, if people can make money. Is it more are you doing those people a disservice by saying you're following the trend, or is it they've seen an opportunity to make money and they want to jump on it?
No. It's
which is what speculation is.
I don't have a problem
with.
I don't have a problem following the trend either. Of course, I don't have a problem following the trend either.
But all of these things that we spoke about,
me even looking into the stock market myself, maybe I'm following a trend as well. Yeah. But the difference is some people are not applying sense. You don't actually know what you're doing, and you're following a trend.
It's kind of like the whole.
You don't know what you're doing.
Remember when everybody was getting? I think people still do, but not to the degree as before. Remember maybe a couple of years ago when everyone's getting scammed doing was it trade stocks or stock trading?
Oh, that's trading 1 2 2 1 2 and all that stuff.
I don't.
Or like binary and all that stuff.
I don't know.
I know
the Instagram I'm a trader. I make money. All of this stuff.
Trading.
That was a trend.
Yeah.
Where I paid X amount and I'll teach you how to trade. That's kind of similar.
Okay.
Thing.
Yeah.
And with me, I will never. I think when there's following trends here for the sake of looking a certain way. That to me, that's something that's blameworthy. That's something I criticize. But anyone who's just trying to make peas, even if it's following the trend or whatever, I'll always just say, okay, whatever. I respect the hustle, because at the end of the day,
I don't respect the hustle.
Okay, so let me give you an example. Let me give you a personal example. This is me, and I want you to tell me if I'm following the trend or whatever. Cool. So 3-4 years ago, maybe I think this was about 4 years ago, when the first noise of crypto like hit the mainstream, when it hit the BBM or whatever we were using at the time. Yeah.
BBM.
So me and my ignorance, I'm around cousins or whatever that are actually making money doing this thing, yeah. And I'm like, I don't really know about this thing. I watched a couple YouTube videos, because this is me just thinking, make money. You know, like man's eating rice with no stew in uni, man needs money in it. Chips with no salt.
Rice with no stew. What are you eating with ketchup?
Fam. Butter still.
Rice and ketchup. Rice and butter.
No, I'm joking.
That's a different level.
That was not me, by the way. I'm just joking. Let me get that clear. But yeah, so
talking from vicariously. You know,
that was someone. Oh my cousin.
I got you.
Yeah, that was Frank. Yeah. So I watched a couple of YouTube videos. Read some whatever articles. Didn't really get it.
Okay.
So I thought, okay. And I remember as well, specifically, this was around exam time, innit? I'm like, I ain't got time really right now to really, but you know. So what I said is, okay, my cousin, who's doing well for himself, and is financially savvy, as well as his little brother, who's also quite good. I said, okay, cool. I'm not too, but what I'm gonna say, because it seems like this is a time that you can make money, because it seems that way. I am going to entrust you, my cousin, with money. And I've given you a big amount of money, and the only thing this was based on was basically a trust that there's a way to make money, and this is maybe I guess at this time I wasn't looking too much into the halalities and haramities of it. That wasn't pressing on my mind back then. Forgive me. I gave him the bread, and I said, I don't know, because if I'm doing this, what I do know is that if I'm doing it, it's gambling.
Yeah.
But if you're not gambling here, because you're doing it with some sort of things. So I gave him the money. I said, I don't
have a problem with that. I do not have a problem with that.
It's kind of the same thing as property.
You've identified that you do not have the sense to do this. You know, and you've given it to someone that does. I don't have an issue with that.
But a lot of people are making Okay, what's the difference between me doing that, and me tweeting a guy who, let's say there's a Mr. Crypto 123 on Twitter, who's always giving out. He gives the impression, and maybe you know him. He's a friend of a friend. He gives the impression that he knows what he's doing, and he tweets out tips, and you say, okay, and that's Abdullah's friend. Let me he's not. I know that he's not just scamming the world. I'm confident. And he's tweeting at this, and he seems to be making peas. I've heard he's making peas. Let me react to his tweets and do what he does. Because what's the difference between me texting my cousin texting me, instead of me giving the money to him, he just texting me what to do, and me just blindly following. It's the same thing. It's literally the same thing.
It isn't.
How is it different?
It's not.
People, I got you. Because old man names is just trying to.
It's not.
Get off my lawn and that. What's the difference? Tell me what the difference is.
You're trying to kill me. You're trying to kill me with this analogy, but I'm not hearing it. It isn't the same thing. Someone else doing something for you on your behalf is not the same.
I'll wait.
Allow him.
I'll wait.
Nah. Allow him.
No, wait. We can edit out 5 minutes later.
I don't know how to explain it. I don't think it's personally. I don't think it's, if you're in a world, if you're in a certain type of world and you don't know how to navigate, then you're moving blindly, and I'm not going to respect that just because you have to make money. That you should just move blindly. If you're entrusting someone with something because you know that person can navigate and knows what they're doing, that's different from just simply following instructions.
At the end of the day,
I don't think that's the same thing at all. I don't think it's the same thing, and I'm not. Let me not.
Do what you want with your money.
I don't think it's right, basically.
Do you know it's mad though? Do you know it's mad? Like at the end of the day, for example, when I think of like how in 10 years, the amount of like, for example, what one house is worth compared to what one house is worth now. It's mad how like man will just have like, you know, when you talk to people that are really on this investment, yeah, they make you feel almost dumb for like just having money sitting in your bank account. Because
but sometimes having money sitting in your bank account is the best. If I let the money sit in my bank account, I would still have a lot of money right now. So let's not move like.
Yes, of course. I'm not trying to. This is not me saying that it's completely true. What I'm saying is that I think in this, especially this London film, I think it's just important to make yourself as, when it comes to finance and money, just make yourself as schooled up as possible in it.
Let's not forget, you raised.
That doesn't mean that you have to spend money.
You mentioned
just be aware.
The example of property. Yeah. You're forgetting the reason why property. One key reason why property has risen so much in the recent years compared to yesterday, and why it probably will never be as cheap as 40, 50 years ago is inflation.
Yeah, of course.
Like, listen, there's certain cars that you could get for £2,000 that today are now worth hundreds of millions. And that's not necessarily because of the car or the demand. Yes, that has a factor to play, but it's more due to inflation. More money's been printed. Remember back in the day, £5 was a lot of money. £5 was a note. You could probably buy a house, not a house, but you could buy a lot with that. I won't be surprised if you could buy a house with that.
You could buy.
Nowadays, £5 you can't get chicken and chips with that.
Exactly.
And that's because way more money has been printed. Even that, to say way more is an understatement, but that's because way more notes, physical money has been printed compared to that of 40, 50 years ago.
Which is the point I'm making.
Which is raised.
That's the point I'm basically saying.
Yeah.
That like at the end of the day, imagine I'm saving a house and I say I'm putting £10 every, £1,000 every month to this saving for a house. £100 every month for saving for this house. There's a point there where, like, the rate I'm getting closer to my target. As time goes on, you're putting the same amount of money, but the effect that's having on your overall target and the way things are going nowadays, it's just decreasing. So what somebody will say, and it's difficult to argue with this, is that look for a different way. Basically,
I guess it's good to have assets. I guess
don't do something. Yeah, that's
assets that increase in value.
Don't do something blindly, but educate yourself in it. That's what I'd say. That's my anyway. So that's advice to myself anyway. If you wanna take it, take it. If you don't want to. But it's like, in the way that life is nowadays, it seems to be going. It seems like just doing, unless you're obviously 100 to 500k a year type job, like just doing the kind of
all of these are the views of Jollof after Jollof. You've got the financial conduct authority there.
This is not financial advice, but when we are not financial advisors. If you make money and I've inspired you, of course, my account will be in the bottom. Make dua for me, and obviously still code that is in the description. And if you lose money, chat to Ibs. JT or Junior on this.
Junior?
Oh, no, that's your brother. I don't even know what you're thinking. Anyway,
I like the way you pinned me off with that shit. I'm happy. That analogy, that conveniently works in every sense for you, but not for me.
Yeah, that's because it was correct. That's why. That's because the premise was okay.
Depressing.
When you have a solid premise.
Nah, man. The premise was whack.
I told you we'll wait. We'll wait. Nah. We'll get another plate of Jollof.
I'm vexed. And the thing is that
he's gonna call me at 3 a.m.
That's the thing. The answer will hit me when I'm on my way home or something.
Oh, hey.
The answer will hit me later.
I need to block Ibs after this. So we're essentially discussing a series of YouTube videos, or a YouTuber who a listener has kindly requested that we kind of discuss, and the style of essentially of, obviously we're not going to say who it is, but the style of the central style of the videos is kind of like that super. It's basically somebody who very much puts emphasis on gender roles, but who appears to do it in a way which
in a more extreme manner.
In an extreme manner, and a way that in terms of a lot of the practices,
as if women can never do anything
Islamically,
right.
Islamically, it lends itself to this feeling that to this notion that people have that while men have authority and superiority, it means that they can essentially do whatever they like. So he kind of spills over.
Do you know what I think it is?
Kind of spills over into that, which is easier to do.
Do you know what I think it is? I think it's like Dilla was saying. Obviously, I haven't watched a lot of his videos, and it was that kind of it was that one thing that I saw that kind of put me off. And maybe if I watched more of his videos, I might agree with what he was saying.
I feel like the type of audience that would watch this, they're more is of a certain type, if you know what I mean. Like they're people that need people to they need to see something to be inspired to be able to make a decision. Not that they're sheep, but like I don't know how to explain it. Another thing is the way let me not talk about him, but let's say my son was putting out similar videos like that and giving out, because it's effectively dawah. If he was giving dawah in that manner, first thing I would say is, look, the Salaf never used to give dawah in this manner. Like, you're swearing. Fair enough, you got a point. Fair enough, you're combating certain stuff. Polygamy is the sunnah.
I do hear what you're saying. Those kind of videos will only attract a certain type of people, which is why probably none of us have ever come across them before until it was brought to our attention. Even if it was like it was brought to my attention, I couldn't watch some of it. Yeah, I think I watched like a minute of one, and I had to turn it off. And the maddest thing is, I agree with a lot of his points. I do generally agree. So the one video he was talking about the alpha woman, and saying how I forgot, it's been a while, I can't remember how, saying how an alpha woman, I don't know, man, I can't remember, something along the lines of, alpha woman, if you want to come to me with that nonsense, you better go somewhere else, because them type of women are basically silly, kind of thing. Okay. I can't remember. I don't want to. I think the wrong thing. I think the 1 minute clip I watched, or even less than a minute, it was, I think, in reference to that. But the way he was kind of describing of what men want, he was basically saying men don't want that, they want this, and the way he was. But men don't want that, because men don't want to be arguing and not arguing, but men don't want to be battling for superiority or thing in a household, for power in a household. We're not meant to battle with you. We have power. We have say. For example, me and my daughter, nothing happens with my daughter unless I give the approval. If one alpha woman's gonna come, if I marry an alpha woman and she says, "Oh no, no, get out of here," because that's my daughter. I'm the father. It's about establishing the position in the household. I'm the man, and this comes back. Good. We can talk about Umar radiallahu anhu. This comes back to what is a real man. Like, what is a real man? Like, today. Not even today, like, a real man in general. What was Umar radiallahu anhu like? Umar radiallahu anhu, I don't like it every time I hear Umar radiallahu anhu being described like he was the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's bulldog. Like, he was ready to pounce whenever the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted. He wasn't. That's not what it was. Umar radiallahu anhu was intelligent. He was loved by the people. He was strong. He was known for being just. Like, he was one of the most just people around. Yeah. He was. I could go on. Like, yeah. I'm in love, bro. I'm joking. And I think it's always hold on. What I think it's about is, if we watch all the videos, we might agree with a lot of the things he says, but it's the approach. A lot of the time, and this is something that's become a lot more apparent to me recently, and I think it's just been kind of growing up and just kind of being married. I think it's like a lot of the time, it's way more about your approach rather than what you're saying. This person has a book here. And in the description of the book, that's what I've just been reading. That's why I've been quiet. Yeah. Essentially, what I gathered is okay. What date did you post the email? It wasn't me. I put it in the chat. I put it. Did it come from the Instagram DM? It came from DM. So
basically, what you gather is so the person uses foul language, talks about women as essentially in a lot of the ways as commodities. So he kind of dehumanizes women. It's very derogatory. The history in terms of relationship history suggests somebody who.
I tried to look for
like with the amount of women. I don't know whether it's for obviously 4 wives is maximum amount of time. I don't know how many he's married to at maximum. I can't comment on that, but it's suggestive of the possibility that the person even oversteps that boundary. So there's a lot of it. Essentially,
I'm not going to say
this
that
type
of. I didn't see his videos.
No, I'm talking about the amount of women.
Because the thing said that he was divorced 12 times. I didn't see any evidence. But then again, his videos are like 5-minute snippets of they're basically previews of
what you have to
paying for subscription to the channel.
So like at the end of the day,
it's not going to happen.
At the end of the day, a lot of people, I'm sure. Okay, the most extreme example. Even Hitler, I'm sure, said things that were true. That doesn't mean that like what Hitler believes in is true because he says within what he says there's truth.
Exactly.
And it's when it comes to authority. I remember I was to Tim Humble talking about this. When it comes to authority, whenever there's authority and whenever there is people are meant to submit, due to human nature, it leaves the people under said submission under the threat of being oppressed or being abused or whatever. But that's not a problem with the system. It's a problem with people because there is no system in this world in terms of political or authority like type of system that hasn't been abused. Whether it's democracy, dictatorship, republic, any type of system that you have.
We were talking about. You don't made this about political.
No, I'm just saying. What I'm saying is that basically, to answer the point of the person, like the person saying stuff that is correct or within what they're saying is correct, or we might agree with some of the stuff, but it doesn't mean that said person isn't wrong or a wrong one.
This is what I said. This is exactly what I said before. That a lot of the time when just in general, it's about the approach rather than what you're actually saying. Because you can say like exactly what you're saying.
Not only that, it's context.
You can say
because some of the context is given. Some of the stuff he was saying was some of the sunnah.
Yeah,
but the context and some of the stuff he was saying is like it's polar opposites. But
isn't context part of the approach though? Because two people could say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Two people could say the exact same thing, but if one person is shouting at you and the other person is speaking to you in a calm manner, you're more likely going to listen to the person to speak. And that's just the approach. They could be saying the exact same thing to you.
No, you're right.
And that's
what I meant by context, and that is from what someone's saying, you can tell a lot of the time the intention. So
so
two people might have two different intentions.
Yeah.
Or 2 different points they're trying to get across to you.
Yeah.
But they could take one abstract concept from the sunnah.
Yeah.
And you can tell who is using who.
That's context. That's part of the approach.
Yeah.
Yes, it's part of the approach.
For example,
bro, I would say that in communication in general, I would say that like 80% is the approach rather than what you're actually saying, because your approach is what will get through to people
100%
before they hear what you're actually saying or listen to what you're actually saying.
I would even go further than what you're saying.
What do you mean?
In that, I don't think it's about communication, and I think maybe this is what Dola may be trying to say. I don't think it's about, in this case, I don't think it's about communication. I think that this is possibly, and this is just me based on very limited information. And alhamdulillah, we're not saying the name, so I can say this. But I believe that this is possibly a wrong one using sunnah text to justify wrong activity because he can take snippets. For example, imagine me, I came and I just said, okay, so we can hit women, we can hit our wives. And that's what I led with.
The word dollar business.
Because the word dollar, there's so much context and there's so much backstory. There's so much
that's a lovely example.
Before and so
that's
much
a lovely example. Because the word dollar, like you can miscrew that, the context that you use with that word, you can.
But the story behind it. But at the end of the day, you can say that. But you can say that. But the Prophet said that. Did the Prophet ever lay hands on? I can use
that as an excuse to free kick their wives, and then they'll say dollar.
So stuff like that. So it's like you can hide. It's easy. At the end of the day, when you have a body of text, it's easy to pick a few pages and use that to justify and you create a whole new madhab basically out of this out of this select bit of tech. But you're basically a waste man. So to answer the question, he's probably a waste man in it. To answer the question in the DM, that's with limited.
I'm not gonna say probably a waste man because I haven't listened to.
I'm not gonna say. To be fair, that was harsh. But
all I'm gonna say is, from looking at the two things you sent me,
no, do you know, it's because I've read this. Because I've read this.
Okay. So you're more. See me, I haven't even got patience to read that.
Saying wild stuff. Like, as in, it's not befitting of any type of man that you want to take knowledge from with regards to your adab and how you're going to live your life in terms of you're trying to be in line with Quran and Sunnah. It's nowhere there.
Now to balance the scale,
go on.
To go back to what the sister's saying, basically she ended it with saying,
wow.
He has this what? Oh, you're reading that.
Just to start off this one.
Yes.
He has this thing where men naturally want more than one wife, right? The way she's mentioned this thing is as if
I don't even need to read past the first paragraph.
It's as if it's kind of like. It's kind of like a view of polygamy is more polygamy in a negative sense, and what I'm not going to do is do that, especially because a lot of these sisters come with a thing of polygamy is bad and polygamy is what.
Oh no! When you said these sisters, I was like, she sent us a message.
No, not the sister.
I know. Don't relax.
Yeah, but what if a man actually wants more than one wife?
Yeah. So respectively,
man weren't built to be.
Disagree with that part of
men were. Allah, we're talking about Allah even speaks in a certain way about the man who has. Allah doesn't. Let me be careful with my words because I'm talking about Allah's words here. But Allah speaks positively about the man who has not more than one woman, has many women. Those are the
wives.
Yes. I'm trying to word this carefully because I
say wives in it. Don't use the word women, say wives.
No, I'm not wording this carefully for.
No, I mean, but
because it's the words of Allah. I don't want to say it.
Praiseworthy thing, but having wives is different.
No, of course, but the words are those of you who have multiple women, or let me not say it because I'm not sure. But anyway,
do you know what
it's praiseworthy to have.
Huh? Do you know what that's just
no, don't. That's why I don't want to say. But anyways, long story short, a lot of sisters go on about. They always come with this card. We know that polygamy is permissible, and we know that polygamy is the sunnah. It's kind of we know it's a good thing, but it's not a good thing. They come with a thing of we know polygamy is the sunnah and polygamy is whatever, but a lot of people aren't doing it right today.
Or you say we know it's okay, but I don't want it, and I think
not even that they don't want it, but they won't say that. They will just say, but a lot of people aren't doing it right today, or most people aren't doing it right today. But my thing is, you're chatting at your bum because you've heard people say that.
It's right, but I don't.
That most people.
Okay,
that it's right, but I don't want it.
You're well within your right to say that, and look,
I don't think there's no expectation that a woman is meant to be meant to lie. The wives of the Prophet were the best of women were
jealous.
even jealous. So there's no expectation. So like there's no. It's not. So I think as men obviously you shouldn't attack any sister for not liking the idea of having.
I'm not attacking sisters.
No. This is a general point. This is what I'm saying.
In regards to that, anyway.
Let me just finish that. You shouldn't attack any. Nobody should attack any sister for the idea of their husband being with another woman, being negative to them, because that's completely natural and acceptable and something that's. Do you know what I mean? That comes from love of their husband, which is a praiseworthy thing.
Yeah.
And having said that, the idea of a man wanting another woman, that is not also another wife. That's not something that should be. Your blanket opinion of that shouldn't be that it's barbaric or it's wrong.
Men weren't made to be monogamous. Like, there's a reason why we're allowed to marry 4 wives, and women are allowed to marry men.
There's 100 reasons. This is a topic with itself. There's 100 reasons there. That's. I actually think it's enough.
But quickly going back, just touching that 1 minute. As brother, quick note to brothers. I feel like it's our duty. If you know you want to marry more than one wife, it's not right for you to say, to agree or to say, like, yes, a woman has a right to say, put in a contract that she only wants her husband to marry one
wife.
She only wants her husband to have one wife. But it's on you to make sure. Look, if you know you want to marry more than one wife,
is that even allowed to go in the?
No, they're allowed to do that. It's obviously it's disliked, but they're allowed to do that. But it's also
a big thing.
It's alright. Like polygamy is alright. Yeah. Obviously, there's certain conditions, there's certain boundaries, which people don't look into, but it's there.
It's one of those things that just need. To prevent us going deep into this topic, because it's a topic that we'll do later.
I don't mind going deep.
We're trying to wrap in, and
obviously, we ain't got time.
It's something that needs to be. You need. If you want, you have to have sense when you do it, because
you have to have sense. You have to be a man in it. If you have to ask your wife, "Alright, can I marry more than one spouse?" Then it's not for you. You shouldn't be.
I agree with that. I'm not sure I agree with that.
Well, that's your opinion. Me personally,
if you have to ask,
if you have to ask your missus to marry more than one spouse, then don't marry more than one spouse, because you're not. That's not. A man doesn't need to ask.
But there's different reasons why though.
Nah, man. Like,
there's different reasons why you might want
look, this is me. See me. I don't play around with polygamy. As you know, I don't. When these men are joking about polygamy, I'm there silent. I don't play around with it, because if I'm going to do it, or when I'm going to do it, I'm not. I'm letting you know, and
but what I mean by that is that the fact that it's a sunnah, and it's something that you should do if there's certain. Basically, there's so many situations that could happen, and there's so many. I don't think it's for one type of man. If you get what I'm trying to say.
I'm not saying
because even that.
Look, there's been a man.
Even that kind of lends itself to the view that it's only the type of man, the caveman type of man that will want. No, because when you say if you're the type of man that should ask, that's basically any man that wants.
Yeah, then you're not a man.
When you say ask, I think he strictly means
permission.
If a man's that's what I said.
Strictly means.
If a man has to ask his wife for permission,
and that's also making an assumption that every single woman is going to be staunchly against it for any reason.
Yeah.
For example, let me just give you a mad example. Yeah?
No.
I'll give you a mad example.
No.
You and this woman, you and your husband, there's no intention, and maybe it's come up before, and there's no intention to marry somebody else. But it becomes apparent that there's a sister who's struggling. Maybe you're not even in this country. Who's struggling because you could be in Bangladesh or whatever. Who's struggling and is without a man and without security. Blah 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 blah. And you
don't have to be that. What's wrong with just liking someone and wanting to marry them?
I'm giving you an example.
That's another misconception.
I'm giving you. This example is not based on any point of view. It's just a random example.
Okay.
And for the sake of that woman, this man might not even have an attraction to this woman, for example, a necessary attraction, but because of he wants to do his duty to kind of protect this woman for the sake of Allah, he wants to marry, and he goes and asks his wife. I think that's very praiseworthy that he's doing that.
Yeah.
And it makes sense why he would ask, because it's not.
My thing is, if you're gonna do something, do it, innit? If look, even when I was looking to get married and stuff, there were females that said, "Oh, if you get married to someone else, I'm gonna leave. Be my guest, leave."
I think
I'll never. One thing I'll never do. I'll rather die. I'll never beg a woman to stay with me. If she says she's gonna leave, go ahead.
Where do we go from here? I think when it comes to talking about
any of my sons doing that stuff,
I think the best.
I'll rush them with their siblings. I'll even get their sisters to jump in. About you're begging a woman to stay with you. Are you mad?
I agree.
My son.
I agree. To be fair, but the debate, the discussion needs to go beyond the scope of 20-something-year-olds in South London wanting to get married to some guy.
You're adding context to that.
Wait, so when you use that example,
let's see somebody.
It feeds into that Twitter type of conversation.
What Twitter kind of?
Basically, polygamy is a big topic, and it transcends every type of lifestyle, society, different mini cultures that we have. So how we live in South London, how they live in Lagos, how they live in
So what's that got to do with me saying that as a man?
So yes, but when you say that,
as a man that's going to be responsible
that type of is based on our kind of culture and how we. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But polygamy is for everybody. So when we say
it's not for everybody. It's really not for everybody.
No, I'm saying Allah. When Allah gave a command, it's for the whole ummah. It's not just for. It's not just about how. So there's different people with different cultures and different ways of living that the ruling still applies to the same way. So how they are gonna live their life with said ruling or use it. So how they're gonna go about getting their second wife, maybe completely different. Same way they go about getting their first wife.
No. I don't agree. I don't. Huh?
You've lost me.
You've lost me. But what I'm trying to say is, it takes a certain type of man to be able to be able to follow what is mandated and legislated for us in regards to polygamy, and to be
so are there not women that are going to be actively encouraging it, for example?
What?
So
actively encouraging.
There are in this world. There are women who are going to be saying, "No, I want you to marry my friend." But that example, that type of man is going to be somebody. Okay, I'll marry your friend. He's not the type of man you're talking about, but he will probably be very happy with his two wives because it's even the wives that have even created the situation. Do you get what I'm saying? So there's different types of. So to say, there's only a certain type of man who, if you have to ask your wife, that's basically based on a small sample size. But there's so many different scenarios that.
First of all, I don't think those two scenarios are linked. Secondly,
exactly, that's what I'm saying. They're not linked. So to say. If anybody wants if anybody wants to marry a second wife and they have to ask their wife, it's not for you. But that there's so many different types of examples.
Maybe I didn't explain why I said that. The reason why I said that is because it takes a certain character, a certain.
I mean, character is the better word.
A certain like. There's chivalry, and then there's.
Because my grip's in.
I think you want to say simping, innit?
No, not even simping's not even in a question. There ain't no simping.
Do you see that example that I gave where it's the wife that even said, "I want you to marry this person."
Yeah,
and the wife has even convinced you to marry her friend.
I don't know how that is linked, to be honest.
I'm saying it's not linked. But what I'm saying in that situation, that man can get married, and that has nothing to do.
Yeah, but that's a totally different situation. If that happens,
exactly, it's a different situation. But you kind of
let me I guess try and explain this as best I can. You said if you're the type of man that needs to ask your wife for permission to marry a second wife, that you shouldn't. Yeah. And he's now giving you a different example, saying you don't need to be that type of man to marry a second wife, because in an alternate situation, it's your wife that's going to be bringing another woman to you.
But in an alternate situation, if your wife's bringing someone to you, then good, go ahead.
Exactly. Yeah, what he's saying is your point is
he may not be your type of guy.
Yeah, and your point was you need to be a certain type of man to have two wives, and he's saying you don't.
Okay. Yeah. Let me try and give it imagery. You see pie charts when you have in school, and you have the circle, and you have the two things in the middle.
Yeah. Venn diagram.
The Venn diagram. Sorry.
I look off. That's it. So
what I'm trying to say is, it's not necessarily the act of, babes, can I marry someone else? It's more of, there's a difference between can I marry someone else babes, so I'm getting married inshallah. Obviously things are gonna change, but I'm still here, blah 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 blah.
Okay.
There's a difference in the type of in a character, in a type of man that will do A and B.
Yeah. No one's disagreeing with that,
What was A? Can I marry someone?
Yeah, literally asking permission.
Okay.
A man, and what I'm saying is, forget everything I've said so far.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. A man should not have to ask his wife for permission to marry another wife. And if he does,
remember that's what I said before when I said
then he should not be getting married.
When I said before, he's talking
because he's not equipped. He's not a man that is going to be responsible. That is going to carry such a big responsibility. Should not, like, certain men are geared a certain way. If you're geared in a way that you're meant to be asked, that you're going to be asking your wife and you're relying on the permission of your wife to marry another wife, you should not be marrying a second spouse. That's it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. And I don't actually agree.
You don't agree? Then that's it. You agree to disagree.
You don't agree.
I don't actually agree. No.
Cool.
Okay.
Moving on.
I don't agree because I think it was too. That statement was too.
I don't think
final
it's cool at all.
on something on a situation that was so.
There was no situation. I don't give a specific situation. It can be broad, but it fits all purpose.
This would be my last point. So like, I believe it's very possible. It's very possible. There's no even point in bringing an example. It's very possible for the same man who would ask his wife for whatever reason, because there's so many reasons why. So the reason why he would ask his wife doesn't necessarily have to be because he fears the consequences of doing it without his wife, or he fears her response.
Now you're adding variables to it.
No, but it has to. No, but when your words were, this type of man who has to ask should never. So we're basically saying any variable, what the variables are, he shouldn't have a second wife. Which is what I'm saying. That's why that statement was dangerous. It was too final. So in your statement, the words you used basically suggested that no matter what the variables are, he shouldn't have a second wife.
Okay, let me correct that.
Which is why I don't think that's what.
Maybe there's some because when you add certain specific scenarios or certain specific context to something, you can do that for anything.
That's why you should never just say this.
This is why I'm kind of agreeing with what Abdullah said, is because I feel like you're adding a lot of context and variables to what he's saying, where he's just saying, period, if you
in majority 80% of situations, if you have to,
it's very what he's saying is very cut and dry. There's no variables, there's no context to it, and I kind of understand that.
But it's not a cut and dry situation though. It's so far from a situation that's cut and dry. It's so far from a cut and dry type of situation, because we can all sit down and say every single marriage is different. How many times have you heard that? Every marriage is different. Every marriage is different. Every marriage is different.
And this is going to get into my
relationship. You have to work out your own way to do it. Yeah, there's principles, but you have to figure it. So how can we say all that, and then apply general mad rulings on
it's not a mad
interactions within.
It's not a mad ruling. I'm not the first person, nor am I the last to come with that opinion.
I don't know.
We agree to disagree, and let's leave it there. My final point is. My final point is.
I was. Okay. Right, when it comes to because this is not me saying Dolla's wrong in every situation. Yeah. This is me saying don't make general rulings on situations where there's so many variables. That's what I'm saying. That's my point. It's not me saying Dolla's wrong. It's me saying you need to be careful, because I'm sure there are going to be examples where that stance is going to be disproved. You can't say it for everything. You can say it for a lot of things. That's why I don't think going around making general rulings in general. When you make those type of statements, a lot of the time.
First of all, it's not a ruling. That's my opinion.
Not opinions. When you have a stance that is sweeping, a sweeping stance that leaves no. Because if you said, then there's a good chance it's not for you, or that. But you said it's not.
Okay.
That is the issue. That is the issue.
Okay, cool. Okay, fair enough.
Because as soon as somebody gives you an example of where the man asked permission and it's fine and it's successful, then it means you're completely wrong.
Cool.
So you're basically saying, but no, you're not going to be able to give me a variable. But as soon as I get a variable, you said, but you're giving me variables. That's because you gave me a statement that basically said if every variable that encompasses every variable.
Okay.
Cool.
It's like when Allah says, you're the dinner, like, oh, you who believe, that's for everybody. But then when he wants to talk about something specific, he doesn't say that. Nisa, that talks about certain people, but Bani Israel, it will be for those people. So then that means that you can't apply that. You can't necessarily apply that same logic to everybody. Okay. Which is basically what I'm saying. But you gave one of those I'm a new type statements. So that means you're basically saying I can never be. I mean, this can never. That's what I'm saying. Okay,
cool. So the last point I was going to mention was. In regards to, how I was saying sisters say that every time polygamy comes up, sisters say how guys are not doing it properly, and most people are not doing it properly. I think that's totally false. First of all, how can you know that people are not doing it properly when polygamy, let's be honest, it's not the most popular thing out here. It's not something you hear of regularly. It's happening. It's happening a lot. But how many people are there in this world? It happens a lot, but in comparison to the sample population, how many people are doing it? Not many. So for you to say that most people are not doing it properly. First of all, you don't know about the situation. Not everyone that's doing it is going around, going on TV shows, going on screaming about it from the rooftops. Secondly, what's the divorce what's the divorce? Let's say there's a lot of polygamous marriages that end in divorce. Is that not the same for monogamous marriages? What's the divorce to thing ratio? Over 50% now.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
So where is this coming from? Where are these stats coming from? Not everyone who's in a polygamous marriage is going to scream about it from the rooftops. And if they are doing it properly, chances are, and let me not even say chances are. Let me just leave it there, innit?
That will be my last point. When it comes to this, when it comes to any discussion about polygamy, I think that when it comes to the conversation, there's no point. What's the word? Almost doing tit for tat or responding directly to certain points, because a lot of the time those points are coming from a place of fear, emotional, whatever, personal experience. Exactly. So instead of, I think there's no point engaging in it, because there's no point. Just have the constructive conversation.
I don't think it's fair to say not to engage, because you're forgetting that other people are going to be listening to these opinions and they're going to be influenced. Especially when it comes to sisters.
What I mean is that don't engage. When I say don't engage, I'm not saying we shouldn't engage in that. I'm saying that in terms of people. You see people debate. It doesn't make sense, because at the end of the day, what people want you to do, almost when people say these things, what they basically want you to do. If people can get people passionately attacking it, that almost feed their argument that it's only a certain time. If you can get people doing a tit for tat, what the people that want to discredit polygamy, for example, a lot of them will want to do is basically make those who argue for it seem like basically alienate themselves and seem like they're passionately behind it, so they can point at you and say, see, it's this type of person that does it, this type of. That's why I say, in terms of on an individual level, don't engage. It's a conversation that needs to be done in a basically it's a conversation that needs to be had in as non-confrontational way as possible, in my opinion, because that's the only way you're going to get people to actually listen. Because when it comes to an argument, people don't listen, they just want to talk and then have to say their point.
Yeah.
I don't care, man. I was trying to convince you. Listen, that's what it is. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. You're not for me.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
To come easier. Alright, cool. Anyway, anything on this one of those episodes I definitely did. Anything I've said wrong in this episode, or that's incorrect, is from ourselves in the shaitan, and anything that was said
if we're wrong about anything,
it's from Allah and His Messenger. Yeah.
If we're wrong about anything, please do correct us. Like when we don't know nothing, we don't have a clue.
Yeah, jazakallah for listening, man.
Yeah,
man.
As always, if you're around here, subscribe. If you're not and you watch all of our videos but you haven't subscribe, then you're
leave a comment, hit the pin bar or the pin icon, whatever it's called.
Yeah. We're approaching
We're gonna have some good debate topics from this one out of this one. There's been some good. Let us know your opinions as well, man. Just on some of the things that we discussed. What your opinion?
Yeah.
Comment on that.
Please approach us. Let us know what you think. If you
send a DM on your thoughts. No one will attack you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
If you have subject suggestions, feel free to let us know.
I need to go to the toilet. I'm not gonna lie.
So yeah,
the toilet's down now. Go out.
So 33.